Today, we're going to be taking a look at the Darmoshark M3-S, going over the shape, specs, and other features of the mouse, as well as testing its wireless performance. And stick around to see where this mouse ends up on our tier list.
I'd just like to let everyone know that QwertyKeys did send us out this mouse, but that has in no way affected anything we are going to say in this review. For reference, in this section, my hands are around 18 by 10 centimeters, and Eric's are about 18.5 by 10 centimeters.
The Darmoshark M3-S is a small to medium-sized symmetrical mouse with a back hump. The mouse widens at the front into a sharp corner, which could offer support for the ring and pinky finger when extended, but may feel sharp for those who like to wrap their finger around the front of the mouse. The back flare is very subtle, meaning that some people may have issues consistently placing their pinky finger if they curl their fingers back. For me, this isn't a big issue, however, as I like to squeeze the mouse instead of just pulling it backward into my palm. The buttons are fairly low and feature wide and deep comfort grooves that help me get a locked-in grip without restricting finger placement too much. Despite being called the M3-S, this mouse is not a smaller version of the Darmoshark M3. The M3-S has a hump which sits much further back than the hump on the M3, and angles the hand further back, resulting in more palm support. The hump on the M3-S restricts micro adjustments more than a true M3 Mini would. Overall, the Vanstercaster Pro and Final Mouse shapes are much closer to being a true M3 Mini than the M3-S. The mouse in my collection which I feel is closest to the M3-S is the Ninjutsu Sora. Both mice share a similar overall size and grip width, though the M3-S has less aggressive side curvature and has a much larger, rounder hump. In our Sora review, I said I would prefer the Sora to have a more pronounced hump, and looking at the M3-S, it seems my dreams have come true. The hump on the M3-S fills out my palm much better than the Sora, and overall my aggressive claw grip on the M3-S feels much more consistent and well supported. The M3-S is actually my best performing shape, finally dethroning the XM2WE and Lamzu Atlantis Mini. I am curious to see how it will compare to the Lethal Gaming Gear LA1, as the two mice share a lot of similarities. Overall, the M3-S is a very good and safe shape, which I would most recommend for aggressive claw grip for those with 17x9 to 23 by 11.5 cm hands, relaxed claw for those with 16x9 to 19.5 by 11 cm hands, pincer claw for those with 17x10 to 22 by 12 cm hands, knuckle claw for those with hands larger than 18x9 cm, any kind of fingertip grip for those with hands larger than 20x9 cm, and relaxed fingertip for those with 18x9 to 21 by 11 cm hands.
This mouse is extremely light while still being quite solid. At just 55 grams with fairly good weight balancing, it feels great in hand.
Our unit of the M3-S is built quite well, with there not being any noticeable flexing in use. However, I have heard a lot of reports of the M3-S having horrible quality control, so I'd recommend buying from a retailer with a good return policy. The M3-S, as well as a few other Darmoshark mice, use the Telling TLSR8273 MCU, and are all compatible with a 2K dongle which comes included with the M3-S. The polling stability is quite good at both 1000Hz and 2000Hz, and appears comparable to both Logitech and Lamzu polling performance. The M3-S uses a 3395 sensor, which has built-in motion sync capability. The motion sync implementation is solid, similar to mice which use Nordic 52840 MCUs with Compex firmware. When set to 1000Hz, the motion latency of the M3-S is about 1 millisecond higher than that of the ZA13C. Weirdly, raising the polling rate to 2000Hz doesn't change the measured motion latency, with it still being 1 millisecond higher than that of the ZA13C. Overall, in terms of motion latency, the M3-S does not perform quite as well as other high polling rate mice, such as the G Pro X Superlight 2 and Lamzu Pro mice. That additional millisecond won't affect you at all in game. Click latency at 1000Hz is decent, sitting at 1.9 milliseconds when set to 0 milliseconds debounce. Raising the mouse to 2000Hz lowers the click latency to just 1.5 milliseconds in our testing, which is a bit slower than other mice at 2000Hz, but is not noticeable by any means.
The mouse uses a 500 mAh battery, which is on the larger side compared to the 300 mAh batteries used by Razer, Pulsar, and Logitech. Because of this relatively large battery, the M3-S can operate for an advertised 80 hours on 1000Hz and 65 hours at 2000Hz, which appears to be accurate according to our testing. The clicks on this mouse use TTC Gold ADM switches. These are among the lightest clicks I've ever felt, equal to or potentially even lighter than Logitech and Zowie clicks. They have some sharp tactility, but these are not the most tactile clicks by any means. The rebounds on the clicks are just okay, making them good, not great in terms of spammability. There's the slightest bit of pre-travel and a moderate amount of post. Overall, I'd say the travel on these clicks is fairly decent. The side buttons are spammable and snappy. However, they have a kind of weird shape to them, making them kind of awkward to press. Additionally, the scroll wheel has a bit of resistance, but is fairly loose. The steps on it are noticeable, but are not all that well defined. I would prefer a slightly more tensioned and more defined scroll wheel, but this is still usable in game. Additionally, the scroll wheel click is quite light and has a good amount of travel, making it quite easy to spam.
The M3-S has a rough and textured coating, though not uncomfortably so. The coating is somewhat similar to that of Razer mice and does offer some grip, however it does not handle sweat too well and can get a bit slippery. Overall, I prefer rubberized or more chalky coatings, but this coating is not the worst. The M3-S does come with some decent grip tape. These are not the best stock grips I've felt, but they could help with getting a more consistent grip at the cost of changing the dimensions slightly. The PTFE skates are relatively large and have decently rounded edges, leading to a smooth and fast glide. These are pretty solid skates, not the very best on the market. Aftermarket skates would be better, but I don't think you need to replace these. The M3-S does have adjustable debounce down to 0 milliseconds, but the click speed caps at around 15, meaning I do not recommend it for butterfly clicking or drag clicking. When jitter clicking, I am maxed out at around 14 to 15 CBS on this mouse. However, the click tensioning makes it hard for me to jitter consistently on the M3-S. Our unit of the Darmoshark M3-S is quite a good mouse. It's lightweight, has a good shape, decent build quality, and solid overall features. However, the mouse does have some flaws, and the QC issues we've heard of keep the M3-S from passing the upper end of B tier. At a price of just $50, the M3-S is very good value given its specs, though at that price, Darmoshark has seemingly cut corners in regards to QC. If you spend twice as much, you will find higher quality options, but if you are on a tight budget, the M3-S is still a solid option.